if you organize your team around job functions, so the business analyst team, the UI team, and so on, then the bureaucracy just skyrockets. The documentation skyrockets. You're going to have people doing double work. They're not going to be agreeing. They won't be in sync with each other. They're not going to agree. They're going to point fingers. There's going to be handoffs. They'll be irresponsible. So particularly if you've got a separate testing team. So if you've got developers who aren't testing, and architects who aren't testing, and data people aren't testing, they to me are not professionals. You should test your own work to the best of your ability. And when you do that, it dramatically increases your productivity and material that you do.
Can you exchange team members between sprint teams? I mean, one sprint he's in this team, on the next he's on the other one. Is it common? Can you do that?
You can do it, but there's a hit. You take a hit, right? So there's always trade-offs. So the trade-off is that if somebody moves from one team to another, then they've got to come up to speed on what their new team is doing, right? But there's trade-off. Yeah. So the good thing is now you're spreading knowledge amongst the teams, which is a good thing. You're also getting good at bringing new people into a team. Because everybody always freaks out. Well, what happens if we don't write all this mounds of documentation? What happens if how do you bring new people onto the team? Well, if that's a real issue for you, then you want to start doing. You want to get good at bringing people into a team, and the way you do that is you pair program. You have a full test suite. You pair program, good stuff like that. So then bringing one person onto a team each sprint, that's nothing. Bringing 10 people onto a 5-person team, that's a little more difficult. So get good at that. But there will be an overhead putting people back and forth. But there's also but you're also investing in them and reducing your overall risk as a company. So it's trade-offs.
Can I slightly disagree with you?
Sure.
So from my experience, and also you have Jutta Eckstein recommending it and Craig Larman. And also in the Lean, if I remember well, at Toyota they make the U-shaped stuff where all the team was put there, but they had no individual relationship. So, okay, it's fair for me to say this. I'm a blunt person myself as well. So you said it, so it's fair if I say. From my experience, up to 100 people, that's 10 teams, you can do these feature tips. Okay, I don't know anything about UI, so I was working just pure software. Up over the 100 teams, I would recommend the domain-based, but I would never recommend in long term the architecture-based team, because my biggest problem with that one is that the tendency is that you always feed all your, so let's say we have 3 subsystems and 3 teams, right? The tendency is that you always want to keep everybody busy. But the work from our customers is never going to match all those 3 subsystems. So this is one of the criticism I have to this architecture-based team.
So then,
I like the domain a lot, the domain-based a lot.
Yeah, but realistically though, is that you're gonna have different you'll have stacks for each of those subsystems of requirements, right? So if you start seeing the stack is for one of the subsystems is disappearing, it's not just going to poof go overnight, right? It's you'll have your stack and you're going to work your way through it. So if that stack's getting pretty small, then that either tells you, well, maybe you're done, maybe you're missing some requirements, or maybe you should start moving people away from that team. So you can manage this, right?
You can, but it's harder, and I don't see the point. And you also have the Parkinson's law that. To give you a concrete example, when I was still a group manager or Scrum Master, my team of 7 people had to do something that was previously done by 40 people. And it's not that my team were super geniuses, because I'm speaking about 60,000 lines of C++ code, so not so much. But those people were told that you are 40, do it, and they did it. So I'm a bit afraid because of this.
We'll try it, see what happens.
Or I can give you another example. When one subsystem is so overloaded, but there is a feature that takes, I don't know, 10, I'm just making an example, 10 hours, and we can sell it for 100,000 euros.
So this is why you need a portfolio management view, right? So the program manager has to be, so you look down the stack. So you got to get away from some of the agile rhetoric, right? So the agile rhetoric is only look at the stuff you're doing this iteration. That's great if you're stupid. Smart people look down the stack and they go, no, not far down the stack, but they look down the stack and go, whoa, that looks pretty nasty. Maybe we should throw an analyst or an architect at this figure it out so that way when it hits the top of the stack, we know what we're doing, right? So this is the thing. So if you've got this, well, first of all, if you've got this 10-hour thing that's worth 100,000 euros, you've got to think that's at the top of your stack. Anybody, and you should have been paying attention to that. Now, if it just came up with it today and suddenly it appears in your stack, well, okay, life's tough. But so you've got to be managing the organization. You got to be looking across projects, right? If you don't look at the silos, then you're going to optimize. You're going to optimize those project teams, but you need to optimize the whole. You can't, just optimizing the one team, and it doesn't matter if it's, based on job function, based on subsystem, based on domain. If you look at the small picture, you're never and try to optimize just the small stuff. You're going to miss the big, you're going to miss cross-team opportunities, whatever you want to call it.
But if you take it from the lean
transparency. But did you have this transparency for the teams that how many sprints you plan in front?
Yeah, okay, we have several levels, so usually the development teams, they know something like 2, 3, and the business analyst, okay, we call them differently, they know for a bit longer, but anyway, the teams, they know sooner or later what's coming in, because whenever we have a customer, the business analyst is going to the team and ask, okay guys, what do you think roughly how long this is going to take? So we, in a sense, they know based on this, let's say, how is it called, latent knowledge passing, or I think it was a different name. Latent is good enough, so not by documents or anything. They see it coming.
Oh, tacit knowledge.
Yeah. They see it coming.
Yeah, so if they see it coming, why aren't they staffing the teams appropriately? Like obviously sometimes it's hard to hire, stuff like that.
So what was the problem with managing the workload and that people not standing without anything to do?
Without what, sorry?
If I understood you right, then there were some teams that they didn't have anything to do, and some other teams were overloaded.
Yeah, that would happen. And also the other thing that